You might think the T-Rex was the greatest nightmare our planet ever produced.
But in the grand timeline of Earth, the tyrant lizard king was not the only apex killer. Below the waves and across ancient ice sheets, predators evolved to unimaginable extremes. Today, we are resurrecting the top 10 deadliest apex predators that ever lived. If you were to stand beside our number 1 spot, you would be nothing more than a light snack. Get ready, because the absolute king of this list will truly shock you. To accurately rank these ancient monsters, we are analyzing 3 crucial scientific metrics. First is absolute size and maximum estimated body mass based on the latest fossil records. We also factor in devastating biological weaponry, like bite force and evolutionary hunting adaptations. Let the prehistoric countdown begin with our number 10 spot. Starting our countdown at number 10 is the Titanus, a flightless bird that turned the food chain upside down. Standing nearly 8 feet tall, this feathered nightmare possessed a beak capable of crushing bone with a single strike. It was a pursuit predator, reaching speeds of 65 kilometers per hour to run down its terrified prey. Biomechanical analysis reveals that its neck muscles were specialized for vertical driving strikes, much like a modern hatchet. Despite its dominance, it was eventually outcompeted by rising mammalian predators, but its reign was bloody. Coming in at number 9 is Sarcosuchus, arguably the largest carnivorous land mammal to ever walk the earth. With a skull nearly a meter long, this beast was a giant scavenger and hunter that dwarfed any predator today. Its blunt, robust teeth were designed for crushing bone and shells, making it the ultimate opportunist. Though known only from a single massive skull, paleontologists estimate its body reached 5 meters in length. But even this mammalian giant would be forced to bow before the primitive monsters coming next. At number 8, we travel back before the dinosaurs to meet the Gorgonopsid, the original saber-toothed killer. Though often mistaken for a dinosaur, this 3-meter predator was actually a synapsid, a distant relative of our own lineage. It combined the speed of a modern lizard with the powerful, upright gait of a mammal, making it an unstoppable tracker. Those massive fangs weren't just for show, they could slice through the toughest hides of its herbivorous contemporaries. But as the Permian world ended, a new era of giants was about to take to the skies. Number 7 is the Quetzalcoatlus, an animal so large it redefined the limits of flight. On the ground, this pterosaur stood as tall as a giraffe, stalking the plains like a giant, toothless heron. Despite its size, it could travel across entire continents in a single flight, utilizing high-altitude thermal currents. Its bones were hollow yet incredibly strong, allowing a creature the size of a plane to weigh less than a modern horse. The skies were dangerous, but the rivers held something even more terrifying. A king of the swamp awaits. Claiming the number 6 spot is Sarcosuchus, the SuperCroc that turned ancient rivers into death traps. Twice as long as today's largest crocodiles, this 8-ton behemoth was capable of dragging even medium-sized dinosaurs into the abyss. Its bite force was estimated at 18,000 pounds, making its jaw a biological hydraulic press. Recent studies suggest its snout was reinforced with extra bone to withstand the massive pressure of its own kill. But as the swamps cooled, a different kind of fanged terror began to hunt in the frozen north. At number 5, we meet the Megalodon, the most famous feline predator in Earth's history. Heavier than a lion and armed with dagger-like fangs, it was a specialist at taking down giant mammoths and bison. Its bite was weaker than lions, far more surgical. Even the mighty T-Rex would look like a child next to the true ruler of the world. Its jaw could open twice as wide as a modern cat's, allowing it to clear its sabers for a lethal throat strike. The land was ruled by iron, but the oceans belonged to a monster that fed on leviathans. Our top 4 begins. Entering the top 4 is Leviathan, a macropredatory sperm whale that hunted other whales for breakfast. Reaching lengths of up to 17 meters, it was the only creature in history that could look a megalodon in the eye as a rival. Unlike modern sperm whales, Leviathan had massive, interlocking teeth in both its upper and lower jaws for tearing flesh. Scientific analysis of its skull structure indicates it possessed a bite force powerful enough to crush the ribs of large baleen whales. But while the ocean was a war zone, the Cretaceous riverbanks were ruled by a bipedal nightmare. Number 3 is the Spinosaurus. Scientific analysis of its dodsters, once radial nails. At 15 meters long, it was a specialized semi-aquatic hunter, effectively combining the size of a giant theropod with the lethality of a crocodile. Its paddle-like tail and dense bones allowed it to dominate the waterways, a feat no other large theropod could match. But what made the Megalodon truly terrifying was not just its size, but its perfection as a biological killing machine. Its paddle-like tail and dense bones allowed it to dominate the waterways, a feat no other large theropod could match. At number 2, we encounter the undisputed king of the Cretaceous, the Tyrannosaurus rex. Standing nearly 4 meters tall at the hips and weighing up to 9 tons, its sheer presence was a death sentence for anything in its path. It wasn't just a brute, its binocular vision and highly developed sense of smell made it one of the most efficient trackers in history. The T-Rex possessed the strongest bite force of any land animal, capable of delivering 12,000 pounds of bone-crushing pressure. We have reached the peak of our list. It's time to each serrate a tooth and shatter bone, making it a specialized armor breaker.
For millions of years, it stood at the pinnacle. But even a king can be dwarfed by a monster from the deep.
We have reached the peak of our list. It's time to face the ultimate apex predator of all time. Behold the number 1, the Megalodon, the largest and most powerful predator in vertebrate history. To understand its power, we must look at it. When this titan was hungry, the entire ocean trembled.
When this titan was hungry, the entire ocean trembled.
To understand its power, we must look at its jaw, an opening over 2 meters wide, lined with nearly 300 serrated teeth. This was the ultimate wow moment of the ancient world, a predator that could swallow a great white shark whole. If a Megalodon swam next to a modern city bus, the bus would look like a mere toy in the shadow of this 20-meter titan. A single breach from a creature this size would create a shockwave felt for miles across the prehistoric coastlines. But what made the Megalodon truly terrifying was not just its size, but its perfection as a biological killing machine. One tooth alone is larger than an entire human hand, a fossilized testament to a reign of terror that lasted 20 million years.
It patrolled every ocean on Earth, from the warm coastal shallows to the freezing darkness of the deep abyss.
Even the mighty T-Rex, the king of the land, would look like a child if it stood next to the true ruler of the world.
While the Spinosaurus was a master of the rivers, in the open ocean, there was only one absolute power.
This is the ultimate hierarchy of nature, a creature so massive it redefined the very concept of an apex predator. Calculations show its bite force exceeded 40,000 pounds, enough to collapse a modern car like an empty soda can. While no longer patrolling our oceans, the legacy of this titan remains etched in the very fossils we find today. The era of the great predators has passed, leaving us only with these silent, stone witnesses of their power. Nature has always produced giants that challenge our understanding of what is possible on Earth. Standing here today, we realize how small and fleeting our presence is compared to the millions of years these monsters ruled. From the grasslands of North America to the depths of the ocean, the story of life is a story of constant adaptation. These creatures remind us that the world before us was far wilder and more dangerous than we can imagine. But as we look deeper into the shadows of the past, we must wonder, what other giants are still waiting to be found? Which of these extinct killers was your favorite? Let us know in the comments below.
Subscribe to Animal Ranking Hub for more journeys into the wild secrets of our planet's history.
The history of our world is written in bone and shadow, waiting for us to uncover the next legendary predator. Would you like to see a battle between the Titanoboa and the Megalodon? Vote in our community tab now. Until next time, keep exploring the wild, and remember, nature always finds a way to surprise us.